time is it?
It's time to open that bottle you've been hiding.
You cracked something, didn't you?
Yeah, come here. Take a look at this section. It seems to be talking about time. Their symbol for time is everywhere. So what is this? A formula for faster than light travel? Who can tell? There are too many gaps. Nothing's complete. Then it dawned on me. Right here. Stop focusing on the ones. Look at the zeros. How much of this is data? How much of it is negative space? So I measured it. 0.0833 recurring. Perhaps you'd like that as a fraction. 1 of 12.
The function of the one is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the prime program. After which you will be required to select from the matrix 23 individuals, 16 female, 7 male, to rebuild Zion. Individuals, 16 female, 7 male.
Alright, welcome back to the Occult Magic Science with your host Griffith Armitage. And we're going to get straight into some numerology, starting with the Tree of Life, the 23 individuals, the 12 zodiacs, plus the 7 constellations containing suns, plus the 4 seasons. And if you take a look to your right, this is a Yggdrasil tree from Norse mythology. And you see those 7 planets, the 7 constellations with suns. You will see the 4 animals, a squirrel, goat, a deer, and an eagle, bird on the top of the tree. And then you have the wheel below and the wheel above. I should note there are several renditions of the Yggdrasil, like such as the ash, and there is also one of specifically the wheel above in Snorri Edda's or Post Edda's, I can't remember the name, where it says the top half of the tree is frozen, but as you travel to the bottom of the tree, there is a burning fire which melts the top of the ice. So it's obviously talking about the wheel above, but I'm going to decode that later on. As today, I'm going to mainly stick to the Tree of Life, regarding which covers the 23. And you call the character Thoth from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the magician who bestows wisdom upon its readers. And what he's telling you to do, as in many images, you'll see him have a pen pointing at something. He is a scribe bestowing wisdom, and he's telling you here to count to 23. To your left, we have the Tree of Life. Now, to understand the numerology, you have to understand the various numbers they've designated in various stories. So we always start at Sagittarius at 12, so it's Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then we go to the 13th constellation, which is our solar system, which is 13, and TRAPPIST 1, which is solar system 2, which is 14. And of course we have the 4 elements, so we have autumn, winter, spring, summer. And when you look at this map, you always have to remember from our perspective it is in reverse. So east will be on the left side, west will be on the right side, north will be north still, and south will be south. For example, in the Baruch 4:36-5-9 of the Bible, it says, "Look towards the east, O Jerusalem, and see the joy that is coming to you from God." That is referring to the star map east. And that's a vital point to remember. When reading these texts, you have to have the star map in front of you, and you have to avoid trying to imagine something within your mind. Because when it says you look to the east and you're trying to picture Jerusalem and you're looking to the east, you're going to fall under the illusion. The reason for that being that when they're talking about the earth, they are talking about the earth that we live on. They are talking about the flat earth, the Milky Way above, or our sphere, the planet of the gods. And all these characters such as Moses, Buddha, Jesus, they never walked our earth. They walked the earth of the wheel above or the wheel below. What makes matters worse is they are using names of actual cities and continents and countries such as Egypt, Jerusalem, even ancient ones such as Chem and Atlantis. So you have to stop and think, and you have to look for the keywords such as east. So when you hear them talk about witchcraft and magic, they aren't using any special powers or doing anything supernatural. What they are doing is they are writing spells to cast illusions on the masses. Education, history, and religion. That is how they pull a wool over the masses' eyes. The magic is in the writing. To shatter these illusions, you have to be able to figure out what they're talking about within these stories by looking at the star map and finding something that looks similar to it, such as previous examples of the navel lake or Gaia's bosom. So here's an example. You have the mountains, which you will hear a lot about in religious texts. You will hear about the spine of the earth or the 33 vertebrae. And well, I've just put another example of a female lying down, which could be in the shape of the star map as well. So it's all about the shapes, and you could have it horizontal or vertical. Let's put what we've learned to the test by reading some of the first God story from Hesiod's Theogony, Greek mythology. And Tartarus, dim in the underground depths, and Eros, the loveliest of all immortals, who makes their bodies and men's bodies go limp, masters their minds and subduing their will. So they've given God characters to the various things such as the elements or the dust of cloud. So in this story, it talks about Eros, the loveliest of all immortals, who makes their bodies and men's bodies go limp. So think about what water does. It makes the bodies of men go limp, and it also does the same thing to the planets. As stated in the previous story, in the Ice Age, the suns have no power. And the next passage is from the abyss were born Erebos and Dark Night, Nyx. Erebos is a dust of cloud, the Carina Nebula, which blocks out the suns and the stars, and he creates night, Nyx. Eronoth and Nyx give birth to their first child after sweet intercourse, their first child being Uranus, starry heaven. And Uranus is playing the role of our will below during the 2,000 years of darkness, and starry heaven is the wheel below during the 10,000 years of sunlight. And it says later on in the next part of the first God story that Uranus keeps his children locked up in Tartarus. Eronoth and Nyx give birth to their first child after sweet intercourse, their first child being Uranus, starry heaven. And Uranus is playing the role of our wheel below during the 2,000 years of darkness, and starry heaven is the wheel below during the 10,000 years of sunlight. And it says later on in the next part of the first God story that Uranus keeps his children locked up in Tartarus. Just her size, a perfect fit on all sides, and a firm foundation for the blessed gods. Once you understand that you're supposed to be looking at a star map, it's a dead giveaway why she is a perfect fit on all sides for the blessed gods. And she bore mountains in long ranges, haunted by the nymphs who live in the deep mountain dwells. So when you look at the star map and you read out that line, you understand what they're talking about when they refer to the mountains and the nymphs that are surrounding the mountains. But then she gave birth to the barren, raging sea without any sexual life. So when she's talking about the raging sea, think about the Milky Way band wave, and also it's without any sexual love. It's telling you she's by herself. So this is during the 2,000 years of darkness. But later she slept with Uranus and bore ocean with its deep currents. And the key word here is deep currents. When you look up information regarding deep currents, you will read that it is created by thermohaline circulation. And here's a clip to explain it.
Because as salt water freezes to form ice, the ice crystals exclude the salt, increasing the salinity of the water left behind. So in regions near the poles where significant ice formation occurs, the exclusion of salt, which ends up in the surrounding water, leaves that water cold enough and salty enough to be denser than the surrounding water, allowing it to sink. This triggers a slow but important large-scale circulation.
And that is where the illusion lies. So think about the deep currents on our planet Earth and how the water will circulate. And then think about when our star system travels around the Milky Way band will appear to move like a deep current, a deep circulation. And in the above image you have Oceanus, the fictional god, and below you have reality, the Milky Way band. Now I'm gonna take a look at The Lost Book of Enki by Zecharia Sitchin, as a lot of people are talking about Nibiru and are under the impression that it is going to crash into our planet. So we're going to talk about his most powerful spell, which is the word circuit, which he repeatedly uses throughout the book. What makes this word so powerful is it has various meanings, so we're going to go through 4 of them. Usually circular, line encompassing an area, e.g. swamp, about 10 miles circuit. Next we have a course around a periphery, e.g. the periodic circuit of the Earth around the Sun. Number 3, an association of similar groups, a football league circuit. And 4th, the complete path of an electric current, usually the source of electric energy, circuits on a circuit board. In prior times, none of the gods was on the earth, nor was the earthlings yet fashioned. So this is either preceding a galaxy collision or the 2,000 years of darkness. In prior times, the abode of the gods was on the earth. Nibiru is its name, a great planet reddish in radiance. Around the sun, an elongated circuit Nibiru makes. So he is looking at the star map and talking about a circuit board, like a motherboard. And regarding the reddish in radiance, think about space and the reddish hue around our sun, which will radiate around the Earth, or the aka the 23, the 7 constellations containing suns, the 12 zodiacs, and the 4 seasons. For a time in the cold is Nibiru engulfed, for part of its circuit by the sun strongly is it heated. This time he used the word circuit in the same vein as the circuit around a racetrack. So within the first few sentences of the book, he's already trapped readers within an illusion. And if you've seen any of the Skywatchers on various media streaming services, you'll know that they are all recording the sky and looking for planet Nibiru and expecting it to crash into our planet. When in reality, we actually live inside of planet Nibiru. So you see the power of the magic of storytelling. And if Zecharia Sitchin was still alive today, he'd be on the ground in stitches. Now we'll move on to the 7 constellations containing sun. 8 suns in total, and just in case you've forgotten, they are Draco with the sun Thuban, Ursa Minor with the sun Polaris, Orion which has 2 suns, Betelgeuse and Rigel, Canis Major aka Dogstar which has the sun Sirius, then we have Canis Minor with the sun Procyon, and the last 2, which are solar systems, is Solar System 1, which we call Hope, which is the name Emilio gave it, which means help other people evolve, which contains our sun, a dwarf sun. And next we have TRAPPIST 1, Solar System 2, which we call Destiny, which contains the red dwarf sun. There's a well-known author called Manly P. Hall, that states that the 7 are our planets: Mercury, Mars, Venus, Neptune, and another 3. But I'm going to show you the difference using the magic signs. And although I read his book a long time ago before I had attained this knowledge, I wouldn't be surprised if his work is also coded with the truth. And you also need to keep in mind, you don't become an award-winning philosophical researcher that gives out thousands of lectures by telling you the truth. The only truth that's ever taught to us is hidden within illusions. And even places like Ancient Origins, there's a reason why these experts never solve anything. They are paid to lie to you. Here we have Noah's Ark. It's a story from the Bible regarding where God chooses Noah to build an ark and restart civilization during the Great Flood. And he takes along with him his 3 sons, their 4 wives, and all the animals, one of each kind, male and female. Instead of using religious text, I'm going to use an ancient Sumerian celestial ark artifact to shatter this illusion. Now let me ask you religious people something. Do you honestly believe that one person could go around the planet and round up an animal of each kind? Not only that, but once they're on the boat, the predators, being on an all-you-can-eat buffet cruise, will be tamed by 8 people? Anyways, let's get back to the show. So at the bottom, we have 14 paddles. So the spine of the Earth is the 14 constellations, the 12 zodiacs, and the Solar System 1 and Solar System 2. Now, the 8 are Noah, Noah's wife, Shem, Shem's wife, Japheth, and Japheth's wife, Ham, and Ham's wife. They are the 8. And the 8 suns during the Ice Age is surrounded by water. Next, we have the number 18. And Noah took an animal of each kind, male and female. So the 12 zodiacs, which have all been assigned animals and various other things, but mostly animals, and also the constellations with suns, which are also zodiacs, animal signs. And the male and female is referring to the male and female energy. And the 8 suns also contain male and female energy, including TRAPPIST 1, which is both male and female, which I'll go into later. And lastly, we have the 24. So 24 equals 24 hours. 24 hours of the day, it will be complete darkness. It will be always winter, and all the suns will be surrounded by water. And lastly, we have the Nazi symbol, which most know of, or AKA is a Polaris symbol. There will be no North and South Pole. Antarctica, it will be ice everywhere. The whole of our planet will be frozen. Alright, this is from the Picatrix, Gayat al-Hakim, page 16. Of the 7, it states the first one moves cold and dryness. The next one moves heat and humidity. Then moves heat and dryness. The fourth one moves dryness and humidity. The fifth one moves low heat and humidity. The sixth moves low heat and dryness. And the last one moves cold and humidity. And then when you look at the star map, say for example when you look at the third one, Orion, heat and dryness, it's right in the middle of summer and spring. Or you take for example Draco, which moves cold and dryness. It is very far away and it's between autumn and winter. And as you study the other excerpts, it becomes obvious that once you look at the star map, each is referring to the positions between our 4 seasons. Moving on to another story regarding the 7, we're going to look at the 7 weapons of terror from the Lost Book of Enki. The one without rival, the first weapon he called. So when you think about Draco, the constellation itself, it is represented by a dragon, and typically within mythological creatures, dragons are considered the most awe-inspiring and most powerful of all mythical beasts. The blazing flame, he named the second. So when you look at Ursa Minor, it's located right above the summer season on the 2D star map. Polaris also happens to be the largest of the 8 suns. The one who with terror crumbles, he called the third. And if you look at the constellation of Orion, it is shaped like a soldier, and soldiers crumble under terror. Mountain Melter, the fourth he called. And if you look at the star map, right below the upwards hill, which is shaped like a mountain, during the summer season, you'll see Dog Star Sirius up beneath it. Wind that the rim of the world seeks, he named the fifth. And to the bottom left corner of the star map, you'll see that is the location of Canis Minor, where our sun Procyon resides. The one who above and below no one spares was the sixth. So the sixth one is our solar system, yellow sun, and it is in the center of the 12 zodiacs, and on the 2D map, the 6 zodiacs to the left is above it, and the 6 zodiacs to the right are below it. And none of them spare it, as it is in the center. And lastly, we have the seventh. The seventh with monstrous venom was filled, vaporizer of living things, he called it. So if you look at the star map, and all the way to the east we have Trappist 1, the head of the snake. It's filled with venom, the vaporizer. Moving on to the Pyramid of Giza. It's the greatest of the pyramid complex within Egypt, located in Cairo, and is said to be the oldest of the ancient 7 wonders. Whether that's true or not, well, that's another story altogether. The layer of the pyramid itself contains various chambers and lookouts, which is directed exactly at specific points, so when it becomes nighttime, specific stars will be viewable from either of those lookouts and chambers. and pictured on the just to the right of the yellow sun is a king's chamber, and the red sun, which is a queen's chamber. What the red sun cycle entails is once every millennium on the 10th year, so 2010, 3010, 4010, etc., the red dwarf sun exits the abyss and enters through the Leo constellation to complete its 15 passages, which lasts for 6 years, 6 months, 6 days. In the first year of the 15 passages, it will head to the constellation Draco to make changes to the sun's Thuban for 40 days. Each of the 8 suns is worth 4 powers each, and of course Orion has 2 suns, so that's worth 8 powers altogether, and I'll go into further detail regarding that proceeding this portion. In the second year, it will move to the constellation Ursa Minor to make changes to the sun Polaris for 40 days. On the third year, it will make its way to the constellation Orion, and there's 2 suns there, so it will spend 40 days on the sun Betelgeuse and another 40 days on the sun Rhegal. In the fourth year, it will make its way to the constellation Dogstar and make changes to the sun Sirius for 40 days. Year 5, it will make its way to the constellation Canis Minor and make changes to the sun Procyon for 40 days. For the last 2 suns, I'm going to use the 13-point Metatron, which is sacred geometry, as I want to show how the elite use symbols and sacred geometry to explain the constellation cycles. Do bear in mind that the 12 zodiacs is a perfect sphere, but when using sacred geometry, it isn't possible to do the 5, 6, 7-point stars using a perfect sphere of the 12 zodiacs. In year 6, the red sun solar system will enter through the Gemini constellation and head to our yellow sun to make changes for 40 days and 40 nights. And if you pay heed to the location of the red sun solar system and the yellow sun, the red sun is sitting within the queen's chamber, whereas the yellow sun will be sitting in the king's chamber when the 2 meet for the 40 days and 40 nights. Once the 40 days are over, the red dwarf sun turns into a blue sun, then exits through the Cancer constellation, heading back into the abyss. And if you take a look at the queen's chamber and the ramp, it perfectly aligns with the Cancer constellation. Everything is by design. So for those of you that are under the impression that the elite worship Satan, I'm going to give you an example of some of the things that TRAPPIST-1 can do. It can move planets. It has an extremely powerful magnetic field. Satan will gain followers. They call it the beast for a reason. It took away Pluto, and they're trying to cover it up by delisting Pluto as a planet. But if you were to get an actual telescope and look for it, you're not going to find it because it's gone and won't be back unless TRAPPIST-1 brings it back the next millennium. It renews the power of the 8 suns, bringing in the new world. It also contains the red iron oxide dust. The number of the beast is the number of man, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, meaning it has all the ingredients to create life. And now here's a little hidden knowledge from the movie Stargate.
To find a destination within any 3-dimensional space, we need 6 points to determine an exact location.
You said you needed 7 points.
Well, no, 6 for the destination. But to chart a course, you need a point of origin.
Yeah, except there's only 6 symbols in the cartouche.
Well, the 7th actually isn't inside the cartouche. It's just below it here, designated by A little pyramid with two funny, neat little guys and funny little line coming out of the top.
And here's a few monuments dedicated to one of the 7 constellations containing suns: Draco, Hoover Dam Monument Plaza, Thuban, Angkor Wat. We also have the Great Cairns Overlook Mountain, which has 8 large sites. We have the Mont Chaudron from Quebec, Canada. As for the omnipotent being that you've been made to worship, to the right, firstly, you need to understand that every letter of the alphabet has an equivalent number. So A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, and so forth. So G7 is the 7 constellations containing suns. Then we have O, which is the 15 passages of the red sun solar system, and 4 is the 4 elements or the 4 seasons. Now the 15 passages, the way it's numbered is a bit odd, so don't take that, pay too much attention to that, as I will get to that in more detail also later in the video. In Hebrew religion, God is called Yahweh, and if we use the Hebrew alphabet, Yahweh equals 26, and Adam equals 45, Eve equals 19. So Adam minus Eve equals 26. And when you total up G7, O15, D4, it also equals 26. God. And how are these related? Well, Adam stands for adapt, 800 years, normal climate. Eve stands for evolve, climate change for 200 years. So when God is active, various changes are made throughout our star system, and our planet Earth will be reborn over a 200 years period. So this is why the Earth's magnetic field has been weakened, and also why all the volcanoes around the world are active. You're getting earthquakes, extreme weather, tornadoes, floods, as all the 8 suns are renewed and we are receiving new energy, and the Earth is being reborn for 200 years. In order to better understand the Adam and Eve cycle and how it's related to God, we need to go to the red sun solar system, TRAPPIST-1, aka Satan, Thoth, Eve, David from David and Goliath. It has many names, but I'm going to show you Satan and Thoth first. We'll start off with Revelation 27 from King James Bible. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. That's telling us that once every millennium, the red sun enters our tree of life. Next, let's take a look at the 40 days. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness, to be tempted by the devil, and when he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, afterwards he was hungry. Now, the equivalent story regarding the red sun within the Emerald Tablets of Thoth by M. Dorial is the character Thoth himself, who is playing the red sun. 100 times 10 have I descended the dark way that led into light, and as many times have I ascended from the darkness into the light, contained on page 6. Now, if you comb through the Emerald Tablets looking for 40 days, you're not going to find it, because they didn't make it easy. It's like one big giant puzzle, and sometimes you're going to have to look through various books, artifacts, or temples. And this particular image of Thoth is from the Luxor temple in Egypt, and what is he counting to? 40 days and 40 nights. Other artifacts containing the 40 points include the Nebra sky disk. If you turn the back and count the points, it equals 40. And when you look at the Mayan calendar, just outside the interior, there's a set of symbols that goes around it, which equals to 40. We also have Madonna's Eurovision performance, where people were claiming she was doing a ritual, sacrificing people to Moloch, or sex magique. They spell it with M-A-G-I-H-K or something. And then what else did they say? They said they're summoning portals. So, you know, there's no evidence that she's doing any of that. And here's some evidence by counting the monks, and he's 40. See, I don't use my imagination. And when I say that, I'm strictly talking about this performance. I'm looking at the information they are giving you, and also the lyrics in which it tells you not everybody is coming to the future, not everybody is learning from the past. The past, Sumerians, ancient Egyptians, Aztecs were all renowned for their astronomy. The knowledge was never lost, it was hidden from us. What the 40 days and 40 nights refers to regarding the red sun is as it travels through our solar system during the Eve evolved stage, it spends 40 days on each of the 8 suns exchanging energies. It absorbs their gases, stops them from becoming supernovas, and it pollinates them with a red iron oxide dust. So it kind of basically consumes their energy and then renews them. And that is the reason why in certain locales they have recorded blood red moon and blood red suns, even though there was no fire or smoky haze. Now we know that, as stated in the Emerald Tablets and the Bible, that it comes after 1,000 years. So where does this reside? Let's go to the Emerald Tablets and find out. And on page 20 is where you're going to find out where Thoth hides his spaceship. Deep neath the rocks, I buried my spaceship, waiting the time when man might be free. Over the spaceship, erected a marker in the form of a lion, yet like unto man. There, neath the image, rests yet my spaceship, forth to be brought when need shall arise. The lion in this particular story is referring to the Leo constellation, and if you aren't aware of ancient Egyptian texts, there's a goddess called Goddess Nut, and she is playing the role of the Milky Way band. And just below her kneecap is where of Satan's prison or Thoth's spaceship resides, next to the Sphinx, which is what they use as a marker for the Leo constellation. This is Google Sky, and if you have a look at it, you see the wavy. This is the Milky Way band, or in ancient Egypt they called it Goddess Nut. And just about here is where you're going to find Satan's prison, or the abyss, or whatever. They've given it many names. I think it was Sen and Neteru also. And there we have it. You see they've blacked it out. This is where TRAPPIST-1 enters, and it goes to the Leo constellation to begin its 15 passages. And once again, you got to use the same concept as the wheel below. This is a 2D image of a 3D, and they've had to loop it, so you got to cut it down the middle and then flip this part onto this. And Leo would be about, well, there's Leo here, so Leo's around here. If you were to flip it, it'd be around there. So that's how you're supposed to look at it. So we know that it begins its journey coming through the Leo constellation, and what it does, it goes around the 12 zodiacs and stops off to make changes to the 8 suns of the 7 constellations, spending 40 days on each. And it enters through Gemini to make changes to our yellow sun or white sun, and exits through Cancer. And if you look at this image, you'll see the center figure holding a lion and a crab. We have Thoth playing the red sun to the far right. To the far left, the actual red sun solar system itself, just like how Satan plays the red sun and Lucifer plays the red sun solar system. Then we have Osiris to the side of Isis, and in the center we have Horus, who's the same as Jesus, playing the role of the yellow sun, and he's holding a lion and a crab. The staged event that was Twin Towers 9/11 stands for the 8 suns when they are renewed by the red sun. That puts our Earth, number 9, at 33 powers. So 9/11. Next we have Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. So if you look at the Axis Mundi artwork, he's holding a money bag over the twins. Gemini, 30-day months. What the Gemini signifies is the beginning of the end of the old world, so the new world can be reborn. The new Earth, 33 powers. The next significant number we're going to talk about is the number 15, and this is an excerpt from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, page 44. 7 are the mansions of the house of the mighty. 3 guards the portal of each house from the darkness. 15 the ways that lead to Duat. The 7 mansions is referring to the 7 constellations with suns, and the 3 that guards each portal. Remember how I said each is worth 4 powers? So we have the constellation with the sun, and they have dominion over 3 constellations, usually the zodiacs, because they also affect our 4 seasons. The knowledge is everywhere for those with the eyes to see it. But you have to remember, to look at artwork made by the magicians, the people working for the elite, or the people that have carved on stone and ancient temples. The next example I'm going to show you regarding the 15 passages is from NASA, but first let's take a look at a quick clip of how they sent us to outer space. This is a Pioneer plaque. It was placed on the Pioneer's 10 and 11 spaceships. I should put a quote when saying spaceships. Figure out the origins of the spaceship as well as humanity. To see through the illusion, first let's take a look at the word extraterrestrial. So extra can also mean additional. So additional terrestrial life. It is not to be intercepted by aliens, but it is to be intercepted by intelligent beings. And by this they are saying that there are no intelligent life forms on our planet. But in reality, they have fed a whole array of garbage and lies to the masses all of our lives. But I can't lay the sole blame on the elite, because humanity, a lot of times they allow this to happen. And a perfect example of that is what's happening around the world right now. The people that comply allows this to happen, because all you had to do was look into the length of an autopsy and you'd know that these death numbers are all bullshit. It is impossible to conduct an autopsy within the time frame, on top of delivering the body to a coroner's office, his schedule, traffic, and the time of the day, and still report a death on that same day. And up until now, no one has been able to deny this question, answer this question, I should say. But they get angry because they want to protect the system. That same system that's been created to enslave them and to take advantage of them, but they are too dumb to see it. And this is how you decode the Pioneer plaque. So firstly, let's take a look at the period of pulsar. The periodic motion of the beams is in line with the period of the star's rotation. This results in periodic detection as a beam is directed at and then away from the Earth, making the star seem to pulse. However, this is another illusion to fool the masses. What you really need to look at is the binary codes along the spines of each of these lines. And when you convert each of these binary codes into a pulsar number, you will get the number 1 to 14. So we will go through the 14, which is a part of the 15 passages. The red sun solar system, if you look at the spaceship, it has 7 points, 7 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will enter from the Leo constellation and go around the 12 zodiacs, making stops at the 7 constellations with sun. So Virgo, Libra, Ursa Minor, it'll go to 4 Scorpio, 5 Sagittarius, 6 Capricorn, 40 days on the sun Betelgeuse, and 40 days on the sun Rigel. Then it will go to the constellation Aquarius with the constellation Dog Star, and then Pisces at number 8, Aries at number 9, Taurus at number 10, and then you'll go to Procyon before going through Gemini to enter to our yellow sun to make changes for 40 days, and then the red sun turns blue, and then you'll exit at Cancer. And what I've done is I've taken images to give you a better idea of how the red sun enters from Procyon here. Makes changes to Procyon, then enters through Gemini to go to the yellow sun, then exits through Cancer. And Preceding the Cancer, you have the straight line going down the middle, and you have the spaceship, aka the beast with the 7 heads, TRAPPIST-1, facing away, so he's heading back to the abyss. And when you convert the binary of the right beside the abyss, it turns into 1000. So once per millennium, and if you turn the binary into decimals, it is 8, which means it is the 8th sun. And the red, as mentioned before, the red sun is both male and female energy. When the sun is red, it is female energy, and when it completes its 15 passages, it is male energy. And to the bottom left corner here, we have Leo. So if you had been viewing, if you're aware of the red sun solar system, and you had your telescope pointed near the Leo between Jupiter and Saturn, you would have seen this red sun solar system entering into the Leo constellation, which is what the bottom set of planets is referring to. And that is your 15 passages. This story is related to Horus, Osiris and Isis, where Osiris is killed and dismembered. When Isis finally opened the chest, in the first desolate place, in the solitude, her face was pressed against that of Osiris. She embraced the body and she wept. It is only when Seth recovers the body which he lays a hand on him and cuts him into 14 pieces. The 14 body parts were spread across the river Nile, so the same thing as Noah's Ark, the 14 constellations of the 12 zodiacs and solar system 1 and 2. As for the 5-star symbol, those are the 5 constellations containing suns, which excludes the 2 solar systems. So we got Draco, Ursa Minor, Orion, Dog Star and Canis Minor. Preceding Osiris's dismemberment, they put the body back together. So I'll get into that later, but Solve a Coagula will explain that. Next we're going to the Bible. This is a story called David and Goliath. 1 Samuel 17. Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. Now, TRAPPIST-1 is about the size of Jupiter, hence why Goliath would look like a giant next to it. And here's another excerpt which gives you some more clues. From 1 Samuel 17:4-7, the New International Version, NIV. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath. His height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels. On his leg he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear shaft was like a waver's rod, and its iron point weighed 600 shekels. His shield bearer went ahead of him. And what this passage gives you is a number of the beast: 600 shekels, 6 pieces of gear, 6 cubits, 666. And lastly, David heads back to the eastern gate. Remember, east is always referring to the east, the abyss. We're going to take another story from the Bible regarding the Whore of Babylon, Revelation 17:9-11. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. So this is talking about the red sun solar system and the 7 planets. There are also 7 kings, the 7 constellations with suns, so the 5 constellations and the 2 solar systems. 5 have fallen, so that is talking about Draco, Ursa Minor, Orion, Dog Star and Canis Minor, same as David and Goliath. One is, which is a solar system. The other has yet to come, but when he does come, he must remain for a little while. So that is talking about the red sun solar system when he goes through the 15 passages. The beast who once was and now is not is an 8th king. He belongs to the 7 and is going to his destruction. So he is the 8th son, and once he finishes its 15 passages, red sun becomes blue sun. And if you've ever heard of the Hopi Indians, red Kachina turns into blue Kachina. And the 8 of the 7, of course, is the 8 suns of the 7 constellations. And last on the list for this video, we have Baphomet by Eliphas Levi Zahad. And the definition of solve a coagula is to dissolve materials to their constituents and reassemble these into something else. So solve, dissolve, and coagula join together or reassemble. In other words, break something down to its core and make it put it back together as brand new again, or something new. To the left of his arm, we have the Brothers of Light, which are the 3 zodiacs of spring and the 3 zodiacs of summer. And to the side of his right arm, we have the Brothers of Dark, which are the 3 zodiacs of winter and the 3 zodiacs of autumn. And then we have the 2 crescent moons above and below, which is referring to the 10,000 years of sunlight for the light colored one, and the dark colored crescent is the 2,000 years of darkness. And also we have the yellow sun and the red sun. The yellow sun has dominion over the Brothers of Light, and the red sun has a dominion over the Brothers of Dark. And next we have the 5-point star, starting from the bottom right corner, Draco, which is power 1 to 4. Then we go up to Ursa Minor, Polaris, power 5 to 8. And then we have Orion, which has 2 suns, Betelgeuse and Rigel, so power 9 to 12 and 13 to 16. And next we have Dog Star, which is the star Sirius with a power 17 to 20. And lastly we have Procyon, which is power 21 to 24. And if you read the Book of Law by Aleister Crowley on page 7, it will talk about the 5-point star. The pointed star with a circle in the middle, and the circle is red. My color is black to the blind, but the blue and gold are seen of the seeing. Just like the Metatron cube and other sacred geometry, the yellow sun and our earth is in the center. So for those with the eyes to see, the blue and gold. Now the Brothers of Light and the Brothers of Dark refers to the effects of the seasons on the animal kingdom as well as the plant life and vegetation. For example, the best time to plant crops is during the spring season, and you want to harvest before it hits winter. And regarding animals, a lot of animals prefer to have their offsprings during the spring season, as it gives them time to the offspring's time to grow their fur before the cold, harsh winter strikes.
Her mom and family step in to keep her warm and dry. But as the weather worsens, rain turns to snow. Disaster strikes the family. A mother cradles the lifeless body of her newborn baby.
Now I will show you the difference between the 5-point star pentagram and the 6-point hexagram. So on the 10th year of every millennium, the red sun solar system enters our tree of life for 6 years, 6 months, 6 days, completing its journey on the 7th 17th year of every millennium. So when it is a 5-point star, the power only goes up to 28, ending at Canis Minor's sun Procyon, which puts our Earth at 29 powers. And once the red sun comes in, it has an extra 4 powers, putting it at 32 powers, which makes our Earth 33 powers. So 800 years adapt, normal climate, 200 years evolve. Adapt, evolve, Adam and Eve. And the 6-point star, the hexagram, is the real definition of God. The 7 constellations with suns, the 15 passages, and the 4 seasons, 4 elements. During the 6 years, 6 months, 6 days, they all are renewed. New energy, frequency, vibration, as well as a red iron oxide dust, which has all the ingredients for life, which acts like the spirit of God. And although I wanted to get into more detail regarding climate change and Adam and Eve, as well as the Philosopher's Stone, I've already passed 1 hour, and it was an absurd amount of work to put this video together. So I will leave you with a video of TRAPPIST-1. It was extremely hard to find legitimate footage of the red sun within our star system, because during the 6 years, 6 months, 6 days, geoengineering, aka chemtrails, would have been used to cover up the sky so we couldn't see, and it wouldn't have people raising questions when they saw this solar system and its red sun floating around space, as well as making changes to our yellow sun. Anyways, this footage was recorded from Papua New Guinea in 2014, and then I have a Russian jet one, although I'm not sure if it's legitimate, but it's the best one I could find.
Let's go.
Pass auf! Yemiumae, Aturuti. Yemiumae.
No.